What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Think About It. With me, as always, my co-host, Evie the Deer. I'm Dan the Human. Today on Think About It, we're going to tackle racism and homophobia. I figured everybody's talking about it, might as well throw my 2 cents in the ring. Today on Think About It. Think about it. So, people are saying a lot that there's a rise in racism and homophobia. And there very well may be, but that's not what you're seeing. What you're seeing is a rise in platforms that make these things more visible. I grew up in the 80s, and the 80s were arguably the most gay era we've ever experienced. And the 80s were wonderful because of this. Now, I'm not by any means gay. In fact, I hate to admit this, but I myself am probably a little bit homophobic. It's one of those things that I've been speaking out against for a long time on my show. It was brainwashed into me by society. And like all the other things that took me years to get to break, if any of you have seen the episodes, this is one of those things that's taken me a long time to break that programming. And I hate to admit this, I myself am probably a little homophobic. Latin homophobia brought on by societal influence and programming. You see, guys, I too am brainwashed by society. And I too, like you, I am constantly trying to break those societally instilled notions and beliefs. Anyways, getting back on track. The 80s were awesome and they were gay. And community and culture had a lot, and I mean a lot, to do with it. So how were, in many ways, we more tolerant of homosexual and race than we are now? It's because a lot of the homosexuals had left their small towns in the 80s and communities and moved to large cities where the behavior and preferences were not only tolerated, but we nurtured them, we protected them. Of course, there were exceptions, but in the energy of the city during the 80s, it was a much, much different scene than that of small towns. Now, fast forward to today, actually about 20 years ago, and what's changed? Well, whereas in the 80s, the hateful, closed-minded people of small towns were completely cut off from, well, the entire world. Today, every single one of them, every Karen, every redneck, every oil pipe welder, I probably just pissed off a whole group of oil pipe welders, every bike-wielding Betty, every single one of them have phones and have a platform to interact on. No one had phones in the 80s, no one. Now almost every single person on the planet does. I live in the South and I go into Walmart and every one of these backwoods dudes and every one of these backwoods people are just on their phones, just like in the city. There's no difference. Whereas in the 80s, none of those people had phones. So it's not necessarily that there's more hatred. It's just easier to communicate that hatred with others. She did not like this topic, I'll be honest. She had a problem with me going over this topic from the get-go. So yeah, welcome back right when we're finished. So yeah, same amount of hatred, new ways to crush others with it. Again, as always, do not believe anything you're told. Think for yourself and question everything. And this is a perfect example where I myself have to continuously be practicing what I preach. So yeah, hit the subscription and like buttons below if you like what we're doing. Give us a thumbs up if you want alerts, and help us stop sending enslavement by thinking about it.